Thank you so much, Prof. I feel like rewatching again this that session and digest the quality of information that you have shared. And I can see people in the chat box, they are in agreement with what I'm saying. So my last question, Prof, to you is that, Prof, may you clarify a bit on the point you were saying, light industries must be moved to rural areas.
So the most important thing to say, and so if we put it naturally, the natural thing in an orthodox economy, that is an economy that's transforming the right way, is that you manufacture your product as close as possible to where you are producing the raw material. Does that make sense? In other words, towns and cities should not exist. They should only exist because now there's a growing demand to build factories. So the closest you manufacture is what becomes a town. Not the other way around. You build a town first in Harare and then say, go and supply the raw material there. You understand? Cities and towns must be a product of a growing manufacturing system, not building administrative centers, call them towns, and then you say, go and supply them. So the important point with light industry is, with raw materials, they are the most expensive things to transport around because they are still raw, they haven't been processed. So why do you want to transport them very far before you manufacture them? Why do you want to, Chairman, why do you want to get your maize to go from Dotito to Harare, 200 kilometers, and then manufacture it there, grinding mill, you put it in a truck, drive it back to Dotito. Then you eat sadza pap that has traveled 400 kilometers. For what? You must manufacture these things within 25 kilometers of where you are producing the raw materials. Whether it's cooking oil, pap, flour, herbs, that leatherware, textile. That's what I mean by light industry, because you're just converting initial stages, the early products that are consumed even by the local people. The big cities should be for complicated stuff. The only things we should allow to manufacture in town are electronics and so on, because now it should be expensive real estate. Harare should be so expensive for real estate that you should not be able to run a small factory to do maputi and snack foods. That's why I was saying the countries that have grown fastest, and of late, from Japan after the Second World War, South Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, and today China and Vietnam, is because they say no. Village and township manufacturing. Produce the raw material, manufacture it as close as possible. Light machinery is simple, it's things you can repair locally. It's not complicated stuff, but the more small machines you have, then the more you demand spare parts for them, then slowly you do reverse engineering. Even if you start by importing the machines from China and India, the more machines you import, the more you realize, why do we keep importing this bearing or this spare part? Now you have your own local foundries manufacturing those spare parts. Eventually you reverse engineer and you make the whole thing yourself. That's how the Japanese did it. That's how the South Koreans did it. And now they're selling as Lexus. That's how they started. Okay. That's only when a heavy industry will make sense, because heavy industry now has a big market of many, many small machines in all the sectors, not just the sectors from mining to manufacturing. Now you find even a small country like Vietnam will have 10 steel mills, okay, because there's a huge light industry. But in my own country, Zimbabwe, when we say light industry, we mean Coca-Cola. Light industry should be way out. Every little town, Chinoi, Banket, Masingo, Mtare, Chivu, all that should be manufacturing towns, not commercial and administrative towns.
Thank you so much, Prof.
You can still do it. Your generation can still convert Marondera and the growth points into manufacturing places. You have to do it in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm telling you, manufacture everything yourself there. And in no time, you'll be exporting that stuff. The Chinese noodles that we're eating, they were manufactured in villages in the 80s and 90s. Until they were fed up with it, they were manufacturing too much, they export to us. They didn't start by exporting the noodles to us. They were manufacturing in the village.
Thank you so much, Prof. When you were talking, I thought to myself, if I'm going to make a Butong manufacturing, I would then station it straight in Bulawayo on Matepelele land, where there's lots of cows there, than to transport.
You make so much money because meat, as the economy grows, people eat more meat, all types of meat. So the meat industry, as long as you're not using too many chemicals, as long as you're, so Bulawayo should be a massive economic city because the cattle there grow naturally. You don't need to feed them. They feed on the natural, and it's the best beef. And the same can be said about, the small ones, the goats and sheep. You should be the wealthiest city in Bulawayo.